Tutorial 3-7 on page 122, and first thing we want to do is open up Tutorial 3-7 map file. So let's go out here and open, and go to the maps, Tutorial 3-7, open it up, and then we're going to save it in the Chapter 3 map folder as soon as it comes up. Whoops, went too far here. We want this to go in my exercises, Chapter 3, 3-7, and we're going to write over the one that's there because I've already tried this before. And now we are going to set the time properties of the layer, and we're going to right click on CAD calls in the table of contents and click properties, and we're going to go to the time tab. Okay, here's the time tab. And what we want to do is we want to enable time on this layer. And each feature has a single time field, and when they say time, they mean time or date. And we're going to go to the call date column, and our time step interval here is going to be 1, and days. So we've got dates up here, so the intervals are going to be individual days. And we want this checkbox turned on. The time zone is they're -5, I think. Eastern US and Canada. So let me see, where is -5? There we go. And daylight savings time in Pittsburgh, okay. And then click on calculate, and then go back and change this to a 1 and click on okay. And now we're going to go up here on the tools, and we're going to open the time slider button, which is this little clock right here. And in the slider window, click the options button, which is right here, and then we want the playback tab on here, and we drag the speed selector till it's about halfway in between here, and then we're going to click on OK, and enable time on the map button in the upper left corner of the time slider window. So disable time on map. Okay, so now it's enabled. It's a little bit hard to tell here, but it's grayed out, and now it's not, so it's enabled. And click the play button, which is over here, and it's going to move forward 1 day at a time. It's showing us the dates up here, and it is plotting the data for us. And when it gets done with that, we're supposed to close the window. We'll go ahead and close it now. And now just having the individual days pop up and disappear after about a second isn't very helpful. What we'd like to do is we'd like to look for patterns. We'd like to keep some of the data up there for a while. And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep it up there for 2 weeks. So we need to go to the CAD calls context here, and click the open the attribute table. And what we're going to do here is go to our table options, and what we want to do with this table is we want to add a field, and so we're going to put another column over here. And this is going to be end date, and the type is going to be date, and click on OK. And by the way, when you do names, you may have noticed that they do not put blanks in the names of their fields, and it's probably a good idea not to do that yourself. It's invalid because it's a duplicate of an existing field name. Do you want to automatically rename the field? No. And okay, I apparently have already saved this, but we're going to recalculate it just to show you how to calculate it. And so right click on it and choose field calculator, and yeah, this is okay. And what we want to do is we want to tell it how to compute the end date, and it's going to be 2 weeks after the call date. So put call date plus, and then down here you can type in 14 and click on OK. And it's going to recalculate these, which end up being the same numbers as the originals. And when it does, then we close the attribute table. Okay, so now we've got the call date and then 2 weeks later. Okay, so everything here should be 14 days later. So we will close that. And now from the table of contents, right click the CAD calls context, which is this one, and we want to go to its properties, and we want to go to its time tab, and we're going to turn everything on for this one as well. Okay, and each feature has a single time field, and the time field is call date, and whoops, I got that wrong. It has a start and an end. Okay, so now we've got to put in the end, and end date is one. So we're starting at call date, we're ending at end date, so we're telling it basically to leave the dot up there on the screen for 2 weeks. And we set this to 1 again, we set this to days again, and tell it the time zone, which is Eastern US and Canada. And save daylight savings times, and everything else looks okay. And click on calculate first, change this back to a 1, click on OK, and okay, we want to open the time slider window, and we want to turn this on, which it is, and click the play button on the slider. And they should be staying up longer than that. I'm going to go back and take a look at what I did wrong here. And this is what I did wrong. I didn't turn this on. Okay, so it's just showing the stuff from this one. So now let's go back up here and do our time slider. Let's go back to the beginning. Whoops, that doesn't take us back to the beginning. Let's drag it back to the beginning. And now let's play it. And if we're playing both of these, and these are on the bottom, the new ones will show up on top of it. But these are going to last. The black ones are basically going to last for 2 weeks. So we'll be able to see like a 2-week trend here, if there is such a thing. So we play it. And I'm not sure if there's a pattern there, but we're seeing everything basically in 2-week intervals. And that brings us to the end of tutorial 3-7.